Hi everyone, it's Tiffany. Now, recently I moderated a panel at the Milken Institute Asia Summit where I interviewed several company leaders about this global race for talent, with countries and organizations rolling out the red carpet to find the best people. We discuss how technology can be both a disruptor and a tool for the future workforce. The conversation was really interesting, and I thought, why not share it with you, our Work It community? So let's get straight into it. How many people remember your first hire? Okay, good. A couple of people here. Well, I'm taking you back to that moment because I think for many leaders and managers, that's one of the first few moments that you start feeling a sense of huge responsibility to make sure that you hire the right person for your team. And now, more so than ever before, we are seeing a global shift, a global talent shift, with the rise of AI, more labor mobility, and we are at a sweet intersection where companies have at least 4 generations in a single workforce. We're talking about the baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and Gen Zs. And recently, the United States government has announced a higher fee of US $100,000 per year for the H-1B worker visas, prompting many companies to reconsider where they expand and invest. Now, skilled workers are also rethinking what long-term stability and opportunities look like. So today, we have an incredible panel before us as we unpack some of these issues on who will win this race for global talent and what should companies do to retain their skilled workers. In your individual industries, what is one thing that keeps you up at night, thinking about how to attract the best talent there is to offer? Manjit, I'm going to start with you, okay? So as the president of Sun Life Asia, people are at the heart of your financial services, not just your clients, but also your employees who bring good value to your clients and your products. Now, what is on top of your mind when you're trying to attract the right people to your industry?
Yeah, like you said, it's a very competitive landscape. There really is a war for talent. So it's really thinking about how are we going to stand out, relative to all the other choices prospective employees have. So what can Sun Life do differently to get the very best talent? Because we don't really produce a physical good. Our whole business is around our people and what our people can deliver. Our culture is also very different, very unique. We're a very collaborative culture. We're a global company, so we really embrace diversity inside the organization and really help people achieve their career goals. And I think the third thing is that we're also a very large company. We have global scale. We have good momentum, and I think employees want to come where they feel that they can win and make an impact. So that's some of the things that we focus on.
Yeah. And Ichiro, I'm going to come to you next. So you invest in climate tech companies as CEO and CIO of Marunouchi Innovation Partners. What's first and foremost on your mind when you are seeking talent in a space that is, I would say, quite niche?
Right. So we are investing in a growth stage of climate tech, energy transition companies and startups. And growth stage clean tech really takes a long time to succeed. And so the company has to go through the valley of death. It's really hard to survive. And the growth stage commercializations and the scaling phase are a little bit different from the early stage venture capital stage, and also later stage, the stable companies. We are working on the missing middle parts, which lacks funding, also business partners to develop the project, and talent as well. So talent means company management, also the investment professional, in my views.
Anupam, you are the Vice President of People and Communities at Cisco at APAC, Japan, Greater China, very big patch that you cover. What's your biggest struggle when you are looking for talent, especially because this is such a big part of your portfolio?
So as we are looking for talent, I think there are 2 aspects that we're looking for. One is obviously deep technical skills. but you're also looking for what I would call human skills. And this is around creativity, this is around agility, it's also around resilience. And you're kind of looking at that combination. And there is, we've all seen articles about the kind of payouts that are happening to people that have deep, specific technical skills. So we're addressing it in two ways. One is being really focused and specific on where is it that we want to go externally and attract talent. But we are a really large company. We've got over 80,000 employees globally. So part of our attraction is also how do we shift that lens of attraction to the talent that we have internally, who knows our business, who knows our customers, who knows our technology. What do we have to do to equip them with skills and actually leverage that talent portfolio that we have across the different jobs that we have?
And David, coming to you, you are the co-founder, CEO of Sanaka AI. You're building an AI company in Japan, a country that is actually slowly adopting its own AI strategy. What are your challenges when it comes to building a company like that in Japan?
Thanks. This is a big challenge for us, recruiting talent. So Sanaka AI is a company I started just 2 years ago. It's an AI startup. It's a very small company compared to most established companies. And we're mainly focused on frontier R&D, trying to push the limits of what we can do with AI. We're building foundation models and agents to help with Japanese enterprise and governments, tackle issues like with the aging society, workflow automation, and as you mentioned, this is slowly being adopted in Japan. I would say it's actually faster than most people think. And when I started the company, my biggest backers, are asking us, how are you going to attract the global talents to come to Japan to work on building the frontier of AI with you? So that was my challenge. And these days, AI talent is a war. Like, how do a small AI startup in Japan compete with OpenAI or Mark Zuckerberg, who's handing out tens of millions of salaries to hire engineers who work on AI? So I've been able to formulate some strategies that I can share about how we're able to do this in Japan. I think one is to build a Silicon Valley startup culture in Japan. So even though there's many AI startups, there's no real startups with like a Silicon Valley vibe that can attract. Like, if you want to attract Silicon Valley talents, you have to build a Silicon Valley style company in Japan.
Yeah.
And that helps us attract some of the brightest minds, like PhD grads from top schools in US and Europe to come to Japan. The other is also taking advantage of Japan's soft power. Because Japan is a place that people like to visit. It's like a record boom,
Yeah, we love to visit
Who
Japan.
has visited Japan in the last year or two, right? So many people want to go to Japan, and if they have an opportunity to work in Japan for 2 to 3 years, and they have the right company, they would jump at the opportunity. And I think there's another chance, for us to build a brand. Our R&D is quite well known internationally, so people are attracted to work for us in Japan. Many people, maybe perhaps due to, as you mentioned earlier, the U.S. political situation, maybe increasing the H-1B fees. For one reason or another, people might decide to leave the U.S. And many of these bright young graduates want to move to Asia. And I think Tokyo, Singapore, Beijing, Seoul, they're great places. And I think many people would like to apply to work at a company in Japan. And for us to build a brand in Japan, we naturally have that flow of talents. So I've been trying to leverage all of these reasons to get
you obviously have been you obviously have been thinking and strategizing. And it's a good time to segue into the next point that I want to talk about. And you brought up that whole idea of the H-1B visas as well, which now there is foreign talent. Now rethinking whether they want to stay in the U.S., whether they want to go to the U.S. Even companies are also thinking whether do they want to invest or expand into the U.S. So with such a political move, which of the major economies in the world do you think will benefit from a move like what the US has done?
I think these kind of policy changes will have sort of short-term impacts on flows, but I think for any country to be really successful, they have to offer just more than just point of entry. I think that's just step one. I think that they have to create opportunity, as we talked about. The talent today are really looking for places to go where they can develop their careers, where they can learn, where they can make an impact on the professional side, but they also want to go somewhere where they like to live and enjoy and potentially raise families. So you kind of have to give all that sort of support to be an attractive destination for the new employees coming on board. And you look at places like, and you also have to have an ecosystem of companies that can provide that kind of challenge and opportunity for them in that location. You kind of look at places like Singapore and in Hong Kong. I think they've done many of those things I just spoke about well. And we were just talking about it earlier before we got on the panel. And even though Hong Kong had gone down, had some outflows, I would say, after COVID, but now with some of these shifts, living there for the last 2 years, I actually see people not coming back to Hong Kong.
So I think the first step we've been talking about is the idea of talent recruitment, but I think more importantly is talent retention, which is the second step of this whole idea of like the global race for talent, right? So what talent investment do you do to ensure that your people will stay in their jobs? Maybe I'll start with Anupam.
There are a couple of things that actually attract people. It is the work that you do. It is the investment that they see in themselves, whether that is with respect to their skills, whether that is with respect to their careers, whether that is with respect to their growth. So I think it is about investments. And so for us, I think the way that we're looking at it is one of our themes is One Cisco, Many Careers. So when you join us, it's not for a job, it is for a career. There is a huge amount of investment that we do from a skill set perspective as well, and especially now with AI. We do have a massive training investment that we're doing from an AI perspective for all our employees. So we do have an AI for everyone. So depending on your role, whether you're a developer, whether you're just a consumer, whatever it is, like we've got training that's going on. And then it's just investment. And there is the element of trust, because I think that, to what Manjit said, I think that is so core right now. And with so much of change happening, everybody is looking at their organizations for trust. And I think that is one of the key elements that we're focused on as well.
Unlike 35 or 40 years ago, where people maybe work for one or two employers over the course of their careers, that's no longer the world that we live in. So I think from our perspective, obviously you want to retain as much top talent as you can, but it's the reality that we're going to lose some of that, but we're also going to be able to find more of that. So I think what we have to get better at is kind of how do we kind of go out and get better at finding new talent and onboarding them quickly to make an impact inside of Sun Life.
Is it easy to maybe even onboard new talent in the AI and climate tech sectors?
I got some perspective on this. I think with regards to retaining talent in AI, of course, we want to do our best to retain the talent, but I also want to attract the most hungry, ambitious employees.
Exactly.
I want my employees, when in the future, to start their own companies if we become successful. I think people ask me, what happens if they start? What if your employees leave to start their own companies? It's like, would you have rather me not recruit them in the first place because they're able to do all this work? I think mission alignment is very important. We're building AI in Japan with particular values aligned to a society like Japan. Things like privacy, respecting each other. A lot of these values we put on our models. And I think one last thing to attract talents. It does come with compensation.
I think one of the things that a lot of us also want, in addition to alignment to purpose, the work that makes work that allows you to drive impact, I think a lot of us also want to be part of organizations where your core values align. So your value system needs to align as well. So I think that's another thing that everybody looks at outside of that initial attraction of compensation. So you do need to stay competitive, but I think at the end of the day, everybody is looking beyond compensation as well.
One of the things that we mentioned earlier in the introduction is that in sweet intersection, right, where we have that 4 generations in a workforce, how do you think, a younger generation, let's say the Gen Zs, what are they looking for when they are sourcing for companies, when they're searching for companies? Who are these people who will stay in a company, and what are they asking you?
What they're looking for is an environment that allows them to experiment. It's an environment that allows them to grow. It's an environment that listens to them, respects them. so you're kind of looking at all of those elements, and I think we've all heard, especially over the last few years, is that everybody wants to bring their true selves to work. So everybody is also looking for that element of inclusion in the environment. So you're kind of looking at all of that, but it's also that they want to see what's next. They want to see a path ahead. So it's not just what am I doing now, but what am I going to do tomorrow, and what am I going to do the day after? And so they're also looking for clarity around that. So I would say those are a couple of things that we're seeing coming up as a huge ask.
I think building on that, I think they also want to, see, if there's flexibility. I think that's obviously emerged even more so after COVID. I think that generation looks for it more than maybe the previous generation. I think they also want to be somewhere, and with social media now, my daughters are part of that generation, and they look at places where they can have fun. Like they want to go to work and they want to work hard, but this is a part of their social circle as well. So they want to go somewhere where they can have an environment where they can engage with their colleagues and do fun things with them as part of their whole lives in terms of what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the examples of flexibility Manjit mentioned is the work from home style, the working style. But I think on the other hand, I think to grow the young talents is really difficult at the work from home styles. And so actually I decided to 5 days a week office policies at this moment, because our company is still young, just established 2.5 years ago. And then many people are joining at this moment. So create the teamworks to efficient work style. That is one of my, I think, principle for me to go through the many good investments. So I think they are used to working for the 5 days of work policy, but with some flexibility on the office environment.
And I think there is maybe a misconception that the younger generation wants to work from home. They don't like coming into the office. In my experience, it's actually the opposite. I think they generally do want to be in a place, to my earlier point, that they want to go and engage with people. They want a social interaction. They don't want to be sitting in their living rooms and in front of the computer by themselves. They want flexibility, but they definitely want to be somewhere where they can also go and be with other people.
Yeah. I do agree with you. I think those people who actually want the flexibility are maybe people with families, maybe with parents, or even being a caregiver to an elderly parent or elderly relative. Right. But the younger generation will want that social interaction, to be able to meet people, even maybe after that go for a pickleball session or a beer or something like that. With the younger generation, when you are managing, Gen Zs, a lot of them will say that staying 2 years in a company is an eternity for them. So how do you, I feel like there's a bit of a reaction out there. Someone almost said an amen to that. So when they tell you these things, right, where they say that, oh, actually I don't intend to stay in your company for more than 2 years. Most of us here have, aside from the founders, but most of us here have been in the company for quite a while. How do you then, manage that, especially if this kid is really good talent? Yeah. So what do you do then?
I think it's really about providing. What they're really saying is they want different opportunities for growth. They don't want to do the same thing in the same way, for a number of years. And I think with the companies that you have here, you can have 20-year glide path, at Sun Life, and do a different job every 2 years and work in 5 different countries. So, we feel like we can offer them that variety of experience, that opportunity to continue to grow their careers. I think if you can offer them that, then it's not just about working with one company, it's kind of getting a very different set of experiences that will help with their development.
And a lot of times, it's not that you're leaving because something's not working for you or because you're unhappy. It's just that you want to go spread your wings. And so, for me, one of the things that I always is be really clear as to what are you looking for, why are you looking for it, and where do you think you will find it? Because sometimes what you're looking for, you might actually find it internally as well. And that could be in a different location, that could be in a different business group, that could be in a different role. So just clarity on the why, the what, and where. So I think that is really important. But also to let them know, especially when they're really high potential talent and they're talent that you really want to invest in, to know that they have a way back. And what we're seeing is quite a few people that actually want to come back.
I don't see that much of that message. Maybe our company is in Japan,
Yeah.
so it's known for lifelong employments. So when someone joins a Japanese company, they work until they're 60.
Yeah, one job for the rest of
One
their
job.
life. Yeah.
And even the employment contracts we give have to be kind of like the salary employee. Like it's actually difficult to fire people in Japan. So there's an expectation, even from young joiners, that they would stay on for a while. And I see people leaving jobs in Japan because they're dissatisfied. And maybe perhaps the younger generation, they will leave jobs more often because of this misalignments of cultural values. And I can share about how the startup like ours is trying to encourage young people to be more motivated. One, we give people, new joiners, relatively early lots of responsibility. For example, they can lead research projects, they can lead commercial projects. Also, they like social media, so that like if they publish a paper, then we can tweet about their paper, and they're really excited. Oh my God, our paper is being tweeted, and they count the number of likes on the paper. It's kind of silly, but they like to do that. I think the problem I have in Japan, and I don't have the solution for this, is the expectations in society. So, for instance, we have pretty young employees, even like a senior employee of mine. She's relatively earlier in her career, and she's in charge of our like investor relations. And when I send her off to talk to like investors in Japan, they'll be like, "What? You're just a young girl. Why am I talking to you? I should be talking to some older dude in your company." Mm-hmm. So that's what challenge in our company. So even though we're giving the responsibility to relatively young employees who are really productive, there is a societal expectation that the counterparty needs to talk to someone of a similar age and background. And I think this is something that we will continue to try to address.
Now, I want to also take us to a different path, which is the idea about AI, right? So for your industry, if I am a client, I am really hoping to have that human connection at the end of the day, right? So how do you marry the fact that AI can help your people do their work faster, but at the same time, how many of them still will be able to have that good balance of being able to do AI, but also have that human touch?
Well, I think if you look at it, I think there'll be portions of everyone's jobs they'll be able to do better, faster with the help of AI. So if you look at, obviously a lot of the work that we do with our clients, requires, we do through agents, insurance agents. So we're using Gen AI, for example, when we're having new agents come in to use chatbots to help them onboard faster, to also give them better tools at their fingertips if they're talking to a client and they need to kind of have a quick answer to be able to use that. But to your point, I think when you're a client and the business that we're in, people are buying these policies for 30, 40, 50 years, they don't want to do it with a machine. They want to do it with a person. They want to be able to look somebody in the eye. They want to have that trusted relationship. They want to know where they can go if they have a problem. So I don't think Gen AI is going to replace that part of it, but they can help with the other stuff that I just spoke about.
There are two aspects to the way most organizations are using AI today. One is automate. And automate for me is just a continuum that all of us have been on a journey with respect to automation, right? It started way back and it's just a continuation. So with every new technology trend that we see, there is always this element of automation or digitization that comes in, which is with the output of or the outcome that we all expect with respect to efficiency, with respect to experience. So that is a continuum. What AI is coming in and doing differently is how do you augment? And I think that is where automation is always easy. Augmentation is where a lot of people are struggling with. And the only way that you can work with AI to augment is to actually just experiment.
What about adaptability, though, David? Because, who knows what is going to happen in the next, 10 years or 20 years, right? Are these sort of like soft skills that you will be looking for when you are hiring a talent, someone who can pivot at any time?
Yes, definitely. And AI is constantly shifting. Now, when I started working in what's called machine learning 10 years ago, I think it's pivoted a lot to now prompt engineering. And everything is going to change again in the next 5 to 10 years. But it's very important for everyone at my company to embrace AI tools and be aware of the current trends. I'll give you a few examples. Everyone in our company uses AI. from our researchers who use AI to co-develop ideas and IP with them. Our engineers all use coding tools to help them make products quicker, like even 10x quicker. And when job applicants apply and we give them a very difficult task, they ask us, can I use AI to help me out with this problem? So I was like, you should use AI. We expect you to do that. Even our HR professional or recruiter, we constantly use AI to screen resumes, to actually identify, loads of how to categorize different talents who are applying, to even my my office manager, secretary. We taught her how to use like image generation tools to generate posters for company events. So really, the whole company is aware of AI, and particularly in Japan, this AI tools are very useful in a workforce with different languages and different cultures, because now translation becomes very natural as well. So when I'm reading emails, I know that the other person is probably using a large language model with reasoning to choose their translation to me. So that really helps the workforce for talents for communicating in the company using AI tools.
But I guess what I'm saying is that they may understand how to use AI, but how to explain to somebody else the tool or how to use that tool, that is that human touch and that human connection that I guess you'll be looking for as well in the people that you hire. So they're not just, good coders or, good engineers, but they are people who can translate that into a language that others might understand.
Well, definitely. This is just a tool. Like, no one in our company will just use AI and that's the thing that the AI generated. I mean, it's not going to work. It's always a collaborative tool. The engineers will always co-develop the software with AI. Like my office assistant will co-make a posters with AI. And when we're communicating, we always have to tweak the random thing that the large language model wrote that doesn't make sense and tweak it. So there has to be human elements for this to work, in my view.
I think we covered a broad spectrum of, not only the challenges of how we can attract talent, how we retain talent as well, and also how AI is disrupting the fact that, we are trying to understand how to help our workforce be able to be future ready. But thank you so much for your time. Thank you for our panel here, and thank you to our audience. Thank you, everyone. Today's question was sent in by our listener, Ben. Now, Ben's boss allowed 2 colleagues to attend training courses that lasted half a year. For several weeks in a month, their extra workload was handed over to Ben, who had no extra support. And Ben also had to take over their duties again when these same colleagues applied for additional leave after their courses ended. To make matters worse, another colleague who was planning to go for training was instructed by the bosses to approach Ben to cover her duties. Now, Ben pointed out that he couldn't manage, but his bosses then labelled him as unprofessional. How should Ben approach this situation?
Wow, very poor thing, Ben.
Very poor thing. Ben is that kid who always raise up hand and ask the football coach to pick him, but for training course, but he never gets picked for training course.
So I think it's really the best time for Ben to ask the boss that he wants to go for training and have somebody cover his work.
And I think that's like Ben needs to first have this conversation with the boss to just say, do you have any plans to develop my career?
Yeah.
Because if you have any plans to develop my career, surely at some point I have to be sent for a training course, right?
Yes.
And I think right now, it looks like the signs show that there's no plans to develop Ben's career. Ben is always the call-in guy, the replacement guy.
Yes, and the other thing here is, of course, Ben has to cover the duties of everybody else.
Without extra support.
Without extra support, right? So Ben could be doing 3 people's work.
Yes.
His own and 2 other colleagues' work for long periods of time. How long is it? Like 6 months?
6 months for the training course.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's long. To cover someone's duties for 6 months, 2 persons' duty for 6 months, and do your own primary duty, that's tough.
Yeah.
And of course, not knowing whether it's your turn to go.
Yeah, correct. I think it's been very hard for Ben because, Ben has highlighted that to the manager and said that, I don't think I will be able to take on so many extra work.
Yes.
Would you be able to take some off me? And he was labelled as unprofessional.
Well, I don't know how that will come across as unprofessional. I thought that was being diligent.
Yeah.
because you are sounding out that I need help.
Yes.
I'm drowning. I
Yes.
cannot really.
Yes.
I think I'd rather have someone come to me telling me that I need help rather
Yes.
than not say anything and then the house of cards just
Yes.
collapse, right?
Yes.
So I think when we are looking at this situation, it really sounds like there's very poor delegation of cover duties, and I don't know how much should someone appropriately be assigned to cover two people's work, right? At some point, I think Ben would need to really sit with his colleagues. I know he has tried to, but at some point you have to really sit down with them and prioritize, perhaps.
Yeah.
What should I cover you for? That's the most critical.
Yes. Yes.
Because you can't do everything.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
I think it's only fair, right?
I think it's only fair. So work through firstly with the person who's going on a course, prioritize which one is critical and then which ones are maybe not so critical. And then I would say after that, take that list to the boss. Because the boss needs to be fully aware of how many extra tasks you are expected to take on. And then you can say, okay, there are 10 things this person is doing that I'm taking over. I have worked out with him that, these top 5 are the most critical, and I will do that.
Yeah.
And you need that sign off from the boss so that if you drop the other 5, you're not labeled as unprofessional again.
Yes. I think what we are talking about here makes a lot of sense, right? But I think it's really difficult for quite a few people to do.
Yeah, it's
I
true.
imagine myself if I'm in Ben's shoes, having had all these negative past experiences already. If I had to do this, I'll be thinking to myself like, would it work? Does it really make a difference? Are they going to reject me again?
Yeah.
I think those kind of thoughts will come in, and then I'll just end up like taking everything on my own again, and then just no point lah. Just try to survive it day by day.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering, Gerald, if let's say the list doesn't end and you keep becoming that cover person and you're not willing to hire I guess like a contract worker to take over that person's, job for maybe 6 months, which actually you can actually sign on a contract worker for 6 months, but that's beyond Ben's pay grade anyway. He cannot make these decisions. Do you think that Ben can actually go back to the boss and say, hey, actually this year I have covered X number of, people's job for X number of months. Could I maybe have a pay review?
Yeah, definitely so. Yes.
I mean, it doesn't make things better because you still have to work a lot as well. But, surely you are compensated in other ways.
Yes, so I think that's one way to also maybe make the best out of a bad situation. At least you get a bit more money.
While you look
right?
for another job.
Yes, correct. Use it to bump up your current drawn, right? So your next drawn.
It's better.
Yes, add that additional 5% after that,
Yeah,
right?
well, I mean, let's be realistic. I think Ben is really in a difficult situation,
Yes.
and if things don't improve, I mean, honestly, I think Ben might have to seek employment elsewhere.
The reality is, such situations like Ben is quite common. I've seen several cases before where eventually the person just quits
Yeah.
because it's too much. They have to maintain their own mental well-being, right? Their own burnout. So they actually leave. And when that happens, it's really sad because the company actually loses somebody who has been doing 3 persons work,
Yeah.
right? It's a real asset.
Yes.
And this is a willing worker as well. If I've been
Yes.
struggling and helping for so long, they let someone like that go. I do feel that there's a missed opportunity in such situations, right? So if today companies have this sort of situations, I think it's really important for managers to listen and work with the people who are covering duties for other people, right? To really find out how are they coping. Just because somebody else's work is being done, it doesn't mean that everything is okay on the cover person.
Yeah. True.
So I think that person needs double attention,
Yeah.
right? Double the focus and check in.
Triple.
Or triple, yeah, in Ben's case, right? That is, I still don't know how Ben does it.
Yeah. So
For so
Ben,
long.
we definitely feel for you. Again, like we say, try and see first whether you are even on the radar for some form of career development. If so, look out for some of these training courses that you might want to sign up for. Get a break, it's fine, it's perfectly fine. You don't have to worry about it. Someone else will cover your tasks. If not, work through that list and ask for maybe a pay adjustment. And lastly, find somewhere else. Yeah. So, I mean, this is not the advice that we like to end with, but I think sometimes it's necessary. So if, like Ben, you have a work-related dilemma, do write into us. We are at cnapodcasts@mediacorp.com.sg. We're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Me Listen, and YouTube, where a video version of this is at.
I'm Gerald.
And I'm Tiffany. Saying no isn't unprofessional, but pick the right tone and time.